In this lesson, you will be learning how to teach your child initial R, which is R at the beginning of words like rain, ring, rabbit, really. As you can see by the attached image, this chart puts R at about age 6 for most children. In other words, by age 6, 90% of children can produce the R sound correctly in speech. However, I believe in working with children as soon as possible so they don't develop bad speech habits. So there are two main types of R, pre-vocalic and post-vocalic. So pre-vocalic R is initial R, or R in front of a vowel like we talked about, rain, ring, river. Post-vocalic R is R after a vowel. We've got lots of these, air, R, ear, ire, or our, and even earl. Some kids can produce one type of R, but not another. In this course, we are going to concentrate on the initial R sound. So initial R in isolation and syllables. Most kids who are mispronouncing initial R are saying a W sound instead, like wane, wing, wabbit, wheelie. You'll need to teach them not to put their lips together, which makes the W, and instead keep them apart for the R. They will also need to move their tongue back and up in their mouth as they make the sound. Really. The initial R is easier to teach than the vocalic R because the child can look in a mirror and see if he's rounding his lips too much. Also, because the initial R is followed immediately by a vowel, the sound doesn't last very long and the tongue placement errors are not as noticeable. The biggest factor is to prevent the W sound. W. Along with focusing on the lips, you can tell your child to keep his tongue in the back of his mouth and not near the front. Really. With initial R, we can skip the isolation level and start with syllables. You can start teaching your child using the syllables ra, re, re, ro, and ru. Have your child try saying ra without letting his lips touch together. Otherwise, it would be wah. It might help to use a mirror in front of both of you if you can, or at least give your child a mirror so that he can see himself. Try to make it fun and reward your child for any effort to produce the sound without touching his lips together. Ra. Also, tell your child to keep his tongue in the back of his mouth and not near the front. Like, think about it when you're saying the W sound, wah, wah. Your tongue is just kind of hiding out there on the bottom of your mouth, but it's near the front. With R, it can't do that. It needs to be near the back. Ra, ra. And so have your child practice that at least 3 times. And once he can do that, you can move on to the next syllable, re, and do the same thing. You might find that some syllables will be easier for your child to produce, and that's okay. You can come back to the harder ones later. So move on to the next syllables, trying to get as many correct productions as possible. When your child can produce R syllables correctly 80% of the time, you can move on to initial R in words. From there, continue to work your way through all the initial R levels as outlined in the How to Teach Your Child speech course. You've got this.